There's there's hundreds of stories that get passed along on any college campus that build up a sort of amplified sense of place. For example, let me ask you, what happens if you kiss a girl in the Upper March?
Marry.
Well, we all know that's true. And what happens if you walk across the seal on the hub down here?
Fail an exam.
We know that's true. And, there's many, those are two fine and obvious examples that virtually every student learns, because I believe they teach them in the orientation. and they get passed along as lore. Well, that's a form of knowledge that is both true and untrue. It's true as lore about the institution. Does it have any basis in what some might call factual experience? Probably not. Okay.
First time that Martha and I had ever visited this campus, and as we drove across the lane that connects Spring Street and High Street, past Upper Mall, we saw Eliot and Stoddard-Halls. I had been an undergraduate at Yale. When I saw Eliot and Stoddard, I said, Martha, there's a Connecticut Hall at Yale, not once but twice. And indeed, Eliot and Stoddard had been patterned after Yale's oldest building, Connecticut Hall, dating from 1756.
Another one that I'm frequently intrigued by is the lore that says our buildings have been here like since 1809. So lore comes in many variations. We are not really a Georgian campus, and we're not really an old Georgian campus, and we're certainly not an 18th century campus. Most of our campus was created after World War II, but it's built in the form of earlier educational institutions. And so that's a historical fact, but it's also a kind of lore as it's received by students. And so when I said my interest in lore is minimal, I probably wasn't telling you the whole truth. I'm really fascinated by lore, but I think it's because it's differentiated from history. Okay, okay. Okay, I'll pause there. They interact, but they're separate. So I'm interested in lore because it's part of our cultural experience. It's not part of them. It's not really the underlying driver of our history. The underlying drivers of our history are other kinds of social forces like economic change, what kinds of steps we take, who gets into the place and who's excluded, what kinds of things we teach and what kind of things we do not teach. Lore then talks about continuity over time, most frequently. If there's a ghost, ghosts don't usually get expunged. I suppose Dracula's do, but ghosts don't. By the way, I've never heard of a Dracula story here yet, so you might want to start one of those. They seem to be real popular these days. Yeah.
Lore is an alternative lens on factual history. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. When Dr. Shriver tells the story of Ronald Taman, he becomes a part of that history. The same is true of students who see the Oxford light. Even these guys.
Shut up! Stevie, nigga! Shut up.
It's true of those who live under the gaze of Wilson Hall and Peabody Hall. It's part of why we love ghost stories.
It does seem more likely that conflict or like a traumatic experience would lead to that, but we don't have facts on the paranormal, otherwise it would no longer really be paranormal.
The reality of Miami's ghost lore is rooted in a history of conflict and negativity. The nationwide destruction of an ancient culture and its ancient burial grounds. Residents of a college town who don't always see eye to eye with the university and its students. A mental asylum with a dark underbelly of torture and the oppression of women. a student of distinction that disappeared from the supposed safety of this campus, never to be seen again. A school that lost its independence and to this day struggles to maintain its identity. In filming this documentary, I had the privilege of meeting many wonderful and fascinating people, most of whom are not seen in this film, but each played a vital role in connecting me to this history. I got to share this experience with a good friend, and our shared connection to Miami's history has strengthened that bond. Together, we got to see and do things that most students never have the opportunity for. Telling, believing, and experiencing lore gives us a personal connection to living history. At the end of the day, telling these ghost stories connects us to the history of Miami University and brings us closer together. It gives us solidarity with the darker chapters in our history and helps us move forward. And that is the true story of the ghosts of Miami.